Oh, hello there. Did you like that? Bit of magic just to start off this video about a magician. That's right. If you somehow didn't read the title or look at the thumbnail, we're going to be taking a look at something a little bit different today. So I was scrolling through Twitter recently, and amidst all the Love Island memes and the depressing news about our horrible government, I had a memory unlocked. No, not a TV show this time. I did other things too. I had a flashback to being a child. My dad and I watching live footage of a man in a glass box over the Thames. Just chilling. For like a month. No food, just vibes. Okay, yes, that was still technically a memory of me watching TV. But it's different. Shut up. So today I want to take a further look into this. See what it was all about. And if I do my weekly video on it, 2 birds, 1 stone. So let's take a look. So before we can take a look at the glass box stunt, it's important to get to know the man what did it. Now you've probably already heard of David Blaine. He is literally one of the most famous magicians in the world. Or, sorry, illusionists, as they prefer to be called. I mean, he's no Troy the Magician, but he'll do in a pinch. So prior to the glass box stunt, Dave, as I will refer to him from now on, had already made a name for himself as a weird guy who did weird shit for views. Sound familiar? Dave first gained notoriety in 1999 with his Buried Alive stunt, which is pretty self-explanatory.
And I came out a week later with this circle of photographers, tons of fans and everything, like for blocks and blocks, and it was kind of like, you know, wow.
This was apparently a stunt that Houdini had planned to do back in the 1920s, but got mudded before he could get around to it. Following on from his Buried Alive stunt, Blaine just tended to pop up every year, do something weird and then dip. Such as in the year 2000 when he attempted, and failed, haha, to freeze himself in a block of ice for 72 hours in an attempt to become the Batman villain Mr. Freeze.
Please don't die in the ice. Please don't die in the ice. Please don't die in the ICE. Please don't die in the ice.
David managed 63 hours and 42 minutes in the ice. Just 8 and a bit hours off the target. Weak mentality, mate.
I want to create images, real images that'll sort of last through time, like pieces of art.
You too, mate. David also did a stunt where he stood on a pillar for ages, pretending to be Nelson's column, and then jumping off into a pile of boxes. He must have been running low on ideas at that point. Also, side note, whoever was in charge of this stunt decided to interview the weirdest set of people I've ever seen.
I think one of the most profound things you could do in Midtown Manhattan is stand still.
New York ain't never went nowhere. New York ain't never went nowhere.
I think that's a badass thing to do.
He's amazing. He's amazing. I love him.
With all these death-defying stunts under his belt, all eyes were on David to see what kind of weird shit he would do next. So that brings us to the stunt we're really here to talk about, Above the Below. On September 5th, in the year of our Lord, 2003, David was sent up 30 feet above the Thames in a glass box. He was to be provided with only water for the entire time he was up there. Why did he do this, you ask? Look, even this documentary doesn't really seem to know. Nah, to be fair, in an interview prior to going up, he does mention that it's performance art.
I consider it a piece of performance art. I think when you have nothing, like when you're living with nothing, there's no distractions, you're just there as you are, almost struggling. I think that that's a pure state that we could be in.
And why in England as well? He's American. This place is literally the worst. And believe me, he lived to regret that choice. But more on that later. It was decided that 44 days would be the longest amount of time they could feasibly keep him in the box without, you know, dying.
I think I can do 44.
With everything planned and in place, it was time for David to finally go up. As this madman sat in a box, crowds gathered from all around to watch him just sit there and do nothing, which I'm sure was thrilling, bringing kids. I vaguely remember that you might have been able to tune in to a live feed from inside the box, but I can't find any footage specifically of that. If it existed, you'd think someone would have made like a pissing compilation or something by now. How did he piss actually? I reckon that's a toilet tube going down. Mystery solved, you're welcome. Wait, but maybe that's where the water's coming from. Maybe it's both, I don't know. But it wasn't just on TV that people were watching Dave. Very normal people gathered far and wide just to catch a glimpse of him. know, the majority of stuff I found online about this whole thing tends to focus on the fact that he had no food when he was up there, but I'm thinking how fucking depressing it must have been to sit in a box for all that time and have nothing to look at but the British population. That is literally a fate I wouldn't wish on anyone. Although he did seem to keep himself entertained. And of course, as to be expected from the British public, they were not prepared to leave him in peace.
There'll be security there. I'd be probably frightened out of my head if things started hitting the case. Security should hopefully take care of it.
My personal favourite though is when someone flew up a Big Mac just to taunt him. Someone even apparently tried to cut off the water tube. It was actually a water tube, I've checked now. But like, why bother? Surely they're just going to reattach it. Stop making this about you, whoever you are. It's about me. I mean, David. It's about David. But on the opposite side of the spectrum, some people were enamoured by the whole event.
I think what David's done the last 44 days has been amazing and inspirational.
How is he an inspiration? Are you going to lock yourself in a wardrobe for a month or something? Now, I can't remember much about the day-to-day excitement of this stunt, as I assume I was busy with Beyblades or something. Or Robo Sapien, apparently. But I have to imagine the interest in this whole thing died down significantly during the time that he was in there.
Boring.
Like, it's not like he did anything in that time. He literally just sat there. Still, after the 44 days were finally up, it was time for David to come down. October 19th, 2003, the day that David Blaine was once again set free from his cage to terrify the masses. Following his first steps outside the glass box, he immediately cried and went to hospital. The NHS, that's why he went to England. He was using our tax money to get better. Damn you, David. During the stunt, David had managed to lose 24.5 kg and had apparently developed
hypophosphatemia,
which does beg the question, was this all worth it? He seems to have enjoyed it at least. Around the time of the experiment, and even to this day, a debate has carried on, questioning whether the stunt itself was all that it appeared to be. After all, he was an illusionist. It's all there in the title. Maybe it was all an illusion. People much smarter than me have delved into the science of how much weight he lost, and according to them, the figures don't match up. But I don't know. I'm an absolute moron, so either side could be lying. If you want my opinion, and I know you don't, I think it was real. Because regardless of the amount of weight he lost, he still lost a shit ton of weight. How else would he have done that other than starvation? And what, you think he had a hologram in the cage, do you? In big 2003, there were cameras everywhere. I'm like 99% sure this was real. Following on from Above the Below, Blaine didn't perform any major stunts for 3 years, probably because he was knackered. But after some time he went back to his weird ways, such as staying underwater for a week and hanging upside down for a bit. But honestly, I think he peaked with the glass box. Everything else just seems to be a replication of that in some way. So who knows, will David Blaine be able to wow the masses again with another death-defying stunt? I don't know, I'm not his manager. So anyway, that's going to do it for today. For the 3 of you that have actually made it this far into the video, thank you for sticking around. Please be sure to like and subscribe if you haven't already and you don't hate me. Bye bye.